Hello and welcome to 11th Series 8 Metagame Monday, where I take a look at popular team archetype and explain how and why its sets work, how to beat it, and how it measures up against the other archetypes. So today is going to be a little bit special because this is my team I used in Players Cup 3, and somehow it became really popular in the past week. Now my variant is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and try to cover both of the variants. They have very minor differences. The biggest one is going to be the 6th slot, which rarely matters on a team. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Let's cover each team slot. So this Venusaur with Copper Berry, it takes Life Orb, Max Airstream for opponents' Tornadoes, even if they are Life Orbed, and even if we are not G-Max. So we are going to be able to get a Sleep Powder off against them. Same applies for Landorus's Max Airstream, Landorus Tyrian Max Airstream from Fly. We take that as well. And against Dragapult, if we Dynamax, or G-Max in this case, we take G-Max Airstreams from it, even if it is Life or Dragapult. Alright, that's a lot of explanation about Max Airstreams. Now, what does this set otherwise do? It gets Breakpoint and Special Attack. As you can see here, we get 2 extra Special Attack points. We try to outspeed as many Venusaurs as possible, but I know some people might speed creep this as a result of this video, or because this is common. I don't know what's common speed on Venusaur. I presume it could be low as 112 and high as 128, unless you're until you're going pretty much max speed. That is my prediction on this, and yeah, that's about the Venusaur set. The survivals are... The EV defensive EV spread is all about surviving these 3 specific max airstreams. Other than that, this is pretty standard set. Leaf Storm for big G-Max Fine Lash power. Earth Power is for Incineroar. Better Ball is for Kartana and opponent Zacian. So we can use our Torkoal to beat opponent's Kartana and Zacian. And yes, we one-shot both of them. Even Zacian thanks to Max Flare from the Venusaur because it's boosted by Sun. And yes, Better Ball transforms into Max Flare even in Dynamax form. So you don't have to worry about going for some kind of inferior Max Strike. And Sleep Powder is what gives Venusaur the power it needs. It creates 50-50s. Will I Dynamax? Won't I Dynamax? It creates 50-50s. Very rarely opponent can check both of the G-Max Mind Lash and Sleep Powder at the same time. Now, we are coming into the first major difference. This Charizard is Assault Vested. Normally, it's max speed Life Orb, but I decided to go with Assault Vest so I get as much extra bulk in late game. I'm going to be explaining in a moment. So basically, having bulky Charizard in late game is important. This is why I chose Assault Vest. It allows it to take Thunderbolts from Regieleki, Max Geysers, even opponent's Charizards much better. Heatwave is for stab, Max Airstream is for sweeping, just getting a Max Airstream boost is easy. And it's easy and it's comfy to wear, Really, it just allows Charizard to be reverse sweep, massive madness. It unfortunately does not outspeed Regieleki, even at +2. But I'm gonna go over this defensive E spread. So what does the defensive E spread do? It allows you to take Life Orb, Max Rockfall from Groudon if you got Reflect Up from Grimmsnarl. Yes, this is how ridiculously bulky this Charizard is. So I have found myself surviving Max Rockfall from Groudon and still having 100 HP left. Yeah, it was just hilarious. And it caught a lot of people off guard. Now again, this special attack gives it Breakpoint here. I wonder, why don't I have... excuse me, this is better. So we now outspeed base 130s with the Charizard after single max Airstream. So we, for example, outspeed Tapu Koko if we face any. Solar Power is self-explanatory. It's ridiculous. Alongside the Sun, you get additional stab boost with not only Sun, but also Solar Power on the fire moves. And it gives Charizard the power it really needs to break through the opponent's teams. Now, in retrospective, I would have probably run Ancient Power instead of the Solar Beam here, since it allows the Charizard to match up against other Charizard much better, and it actually really matters in the mirror matchups. And Scorching Sadness is just the KO other Torkoals, and Incineroar is much better. So yeah, but Solar Beam has its own perks. For example, you can set up Grassy Terrain, so your Torkoal can now yawn again, so that can catch a lot of people off guard, because they think oh yeah, G-Max Mind Lash, This Venusaur is not going to set up Grassy Terrain because it's G-Max form with G-Max Vanillage, very probably. So if I set up Misty Terrain with Tapu Fini, I don't have to care about Yon anymore, but Charizard turns that into a lie because we just can't set up Grassy Terrain with Solar Beam here. Alright, I know I'm trying to compress a lot of information in a short amount of time. I should slow down. Alright. But this set is again kind of this is just the most probably simplest set on the whole team. So like Light Clay Prankster with Light Screen Reflect gives us 8 turn screens, which allows for great, like it allows Charizard to survive the hits much better. It allows Venusaur to take, like now Max Earthstream from Dragapult with Cover Berry does not even do 25%. It allows Zacian to take Precipice Blades from Groudon. It allows Zacian to take Max Quake from opponent's Landorus. Light Screen now makes Charizard laugh at the opponent's Regieleki Thunderbolt, really. It just does not do even 50% at this point. And opponent's counters are just turned into prey at this moment. So dual screens just make us just so much more bulky. And Spirit Break also is just there to make Grimmsnarl a bit less passive. So we just take Spirit Break is actually important in taking care of stuff like Yveltal and Palkia, just chipping them away. Spirit Break also just stacks with Light Screen for extreme special bulk. Now Thunder Wave also slows down a lot of other stuff, like so for example, if we Thunder Wave opponent's Venusaur, we can outspeed it with Charizard now. If we Thunder Wave opponent's Zacian, we can also outspeed it with Charizard, but also with Venusaur, we don't have to risk speed ties with our Zacian. It is a very flexible move and allows for better mirror management and better pretty much management against any team, because we suddenly outspeed stuff we weren't supposed to. Now Torkoal is our kind of like main support on this team. Like you would be asking like, oh yeah, Grimmsnarl is the main support, but like no, Torkoal is the main support kind of. It just yeah, just like with Citrus Berry, it's ridiculously bulky as well. Now with max special attack, it takes, without Light Screen, Thunderbolt from Regieleki, that is not Magnet or Life Orb, does about 100 damage only. So you take Life Orb, like just, if you got Light Screen up, Thunderbolt for Regieleki does not even do half. And reminder, Regieleki with Transistor is pretty terrifying. It basically gets like 225 special attack and you do not even, it does not even do half. So this allows for many heat waves to come out. So why not Burning Jealousy, you might be asking? Well, I wanted to use Will-O-Wisp like to counteract more Trick Room oriented Pokemon. So basically in Trick Room, I'm going to be attacking first, and thus I'm going to be not burning their boost. So for example, if I match up against Cataract's Ice, I will first go for Burning Jealousy and I don't burn their Max Quake. With Will-O-Wisp, I can just burn the Cataract's Ice Rider or Groudon and Trick Room and be happy about it. Heat Wave also allows me to 2-hit opponent's Zacian, which would not be possible with Burning Jealousy. Now, I know with like burn damage it is relative, but now with Heat Wave, it just 2-hit Zacian, which is, I thought was kind of cool, and it allowed me to push up a lot more damage out, which was important time to time. And the elephant in the room is definitely Yawn. Yawn allows me to punish opponent's Dynamaxes. Yawn allows me to just pretty much annoy opponent up until no end for a pretty much free Charizard plus Zacian entry. So basically, after I enter with Charizard Zacian, and if I got like Yawn on one of their opponent's Pokemon, they have to either switch it out or don't switch it out and put it to sleep, which pretty much allows for free Max Airstream, free G-Max Wildfire, either way. So it's kind of free, I'd say. And Yawn really allows for the easy sweeps in the back. Now Zacian is going to be brought in the back like 100% of the time, or 95% of the time. Beaming Blade is self-explanatory, so is Substitute. I got a video about it, so I'm going to link it in the description. Why is Substitute so good on Zacian? And Close Combat might catch you like why not Sacred Sword? You're using Substitute, you want to, you might as well want to keep your defenses high so opponent doesn't break your Substitute so easily. So with Close Combat, I imagined I'm going to be taking care of Incineroars. This team does not like Incineroars. You can see here, Charizard just kind of gets walled by different Dynamaxes. Same applies for Venusaur, Grimmsnarl, Torkoal, and Moltres. So I wanted to come in with Zacian, get attack boost, and just KO it instantly. And yes, this Close Combat is a guaranteed KO on Incineroar, unless they're max defense bolt, in which case it's 68% one shot. So this EV spread allows me to take the with reflect allows me to take max grip from Landorus and precipice bites from Groudon. So that is the main purpose for this bulk. Rest of I just wanted to win. Oh yeah, so why max speed? I wanted to win as many speed ties as possible, against Zacian, or outspeed as many Zacians as possible, because I expected a lot of Zacians to go like bulking on max speed, since the only thing they lose out on outspeeding while not running max speed or like running a lot of speed is kind of themselves. But it is a big deal to outspeed yourself, because Zacian is the most use restricted, and I wanted as much edge in a mirror matchup as I can get. So, and max speed allowed me to just get that. Also, being speedy helps. You outspeed stuff at -1, you outspeed a lot of Tailwind stuff if you get Airstream boost, you just outspeed stuff in Tailwind, so I thought this was just useful as well in other cases. And Moltres is the last slot I kind of added like last minute. It was supposed to be the best possible counteraction to counteract Shadow Rider with Thunderous, while also counteracting Kyogre Venusaur, Venukoal matchup, which I covered last week, so feel free to watch that as well. So Safety Goggles allows me to check Venusaur, and that is the most important part. It allows me to check Venusaur, and this is not the only Sun counter I got on this set. I got Ancient Power as well to counteract Charizard. With this, max Airstream from Hurricane plus Ancient Power allows me to guaranteed KO 4 HP Charizard even without sand damage actually, so that's super cool. I still got a Nasty Plot to punish passive positions against like Venusaur for example. And Fire Rat is there for counteract Shadow Rider. So why did I say it's counteracts Thunderous counter? Because this Moltres takes max lightning from opponent's Thunderous. And if they go for helping end with Indeedee, I can set up Reflect and take it again. So basically the idea was to lead with Moltres to stop the counteract Shadow Rider early game, waste their Dynamax turns, and then bring in Zacian plus Charizard with Light Screen and Reflect up and just clean them off the table. With Moltres taking the max lightning guaranteed, I waste one extra turn, which is big deal. So yeah, this is why I run rank max defense. So yeah, I really went over this really quickly when I'm looking back at it. If you didn't understand part of what I was saying, feel free to ask in the comments. Please feel free to ask in the comments if you got any more questions about the calculations and such. But now I gotta show you the second variant of the team. That is this thing. So the biggest change here is the Charizard probably. It's max speed, it's not bulky at all, and it's very much an offensive Pokemon. It completely just kind of like deviates from my game plan of just, oh yeah, I didn't explain the game plan. How do you play this? So most of the time you just lead Grimmsnarl Torkoal, set up the battlefield with dual screens, yawn the opponent, then bring in Charizard plus Zacian and just sweep them. That's it. That's the game plan, and it's really easy to set up as well, because if they don't have their own Dynamax, there's a chance that Zacian Charizard just kind of cleans them up. And even if they try to knock you out, you still got Reflect and Light Screen, and with Reflect and Light Screen, the Zacian and Charizard take pretty much any attack so easily that the opponent just, even if it gets attack off, they're just gonna take it, you know. So that's the idea. This Charizard doesn't take as many attacks as my Charizard does, but it still just serves the purpose. With Reflect, I believe it takes max Rockfall from Landorus, and that's pretty much it, yeah. And it still goes for the sweep, much easier sweep because it's faster and it goes for like Airstream, it reaches higher speed. Now without speed Zacian, for example, in the back, that it wants to probably switch in later in the game. So like, yeah, and sometimes the Charizard carries Ancient Power just for the mirror as well. So if you're gonna face up against it, don't count it out. Sometimes they just don't run like Scorching Sands or something. Other than that, the Torkoal can run Burning Jealousy. It probably runs Eruption. And the last chance is Landorus, which is their counter to opponents' same team. So yeah, this is counter for the mirrors. Landorus is literally the counter for the mirror. And yeah, that's about it. No, I'm kidding, not kidding. This is it. This is the counteraction for it. This is literal counter for Sun. And yes, it is kind of important to win the mirrors as hard as you can, but it leaves you kind of weak against Venukoal Kyogre team. It kind of leaves you weaker against opponent's Sun, as like kind of weak against opponent's Sun as well. Like by that I mean Venusaur, because you don't have safety goggles, and if they don't have like Sun and instead have Kyogre in the back, Landorus really struggles to do what it needs to do in counteracting the Sun, because the Venukoal has Kyogre in the back that just water spouted out of existence, you know. So, and suddenly there's no Charizard to counteract with Landorus either, so it can't really do the job that correctly. It really fails to do, this variant really fails to do anything against the Venukoal Rain I covered last week. It really is pretty bad matchup for them. And Zacian sometimes runs like a bulky spread as well. This actually, yeah, again, you see there's a breakpoint. They run 180 speed, so they outspeed Thunderous, and rest of the EV spread is put into the bulk. So yeah, that's about it. Landorus being countered as Sun and just Sun is hilarious. Sometimes you might think Intimidate is just useful in the back, but it really is not. You really want to just use Grimmsnarl plus Torkoal and Charizard plus Zacian to just win. So yeah, how do you play this team? So yeah, you play this team just in, like, I'm not going to even go over the matchups because it's just so simple how to play this team. And if you got more questions, I again recommend watching my full IC run where I ran this team. That's 2.5 hour footage basically of me playing, so you can just kind of like get a feeling on how to play this team. So basically, you lead with Grimmsnarl 95% of the time, so you set up dual screens and irritate them with Thunder Wave plus Bird Break to set up the battlefield for the late game sweep. Now, if you face up against Kyogre, you go with Venusaur. This is the only real purpose for Venusaur on this team. By the way, yes, it's literally to counteract opponent's Sun. Counteract opponent's Kyogre, and sometimes just go out of your way to try to counteract opponent's Groudon that might be on some team. So yeah, that's Venusaur's job. It really does it well though, because most of the counteraction from ranked team that comes against Venusaur is coming from flying attacks, and you got kind of like Cover Berry. So you're not really bothered by max airstream from Tornadus from Kartana. So Venusaur really does a good job, and G-Max Spinlash hurts. And surprisingly, Torkoal is really good against the Kyogre's teammates in the back. Like, as I've said before, Regieleki doesn't do all that much, and you do it with Heat Wave. There's Amigas, there's Kartana, there's Incineroar that can't do anything against Torkoal, and you really do a lot of harm to them with Yawn and Heat Wave back. So Torkoal is amazing for Torkoal is amazing against the Kyogre in the back. If you see, otherwise, if you, some friend is trying to talk to me right now in PMs. Not sure if I should answer. You don't see the messages, so I'm just gonna ignore it right now. Not sure if even if you see the Windows sound. So if you face up against like anything, you just want to lead Torkoal plus Grimmsnarl. If you don't know, just lead with this. Burn the opponent with Will-O-Wisp or Yawn, Burning Jealousy, paralyze it with Thunder Wave, set up dual screens, and then get a Zacian plus Charizard in the back and just reverse sweep. That is the idea of the team, basically. It's as simple as that. Now, not all. I found myself leading Charizard plus Grimmsnarl a lot. This is what you kind of need to do when you kind of can't afford to be passive. Like for example, against a True Cream team, a hard True Cream team, you cannot kind of win against like hard True Cream Sakataka. So you really need to just kind of like get the offenses up and just like get Wildfire off. Sometimes I even lead with Torkoal Charizard just so I get as offensive as possible to just try to stop their game plan before it becomes a reality. That can be like their own setup with Swan Stance, their own setup with pretty much anything, like True Cream, Tailwind, you know. Tailwind, not so much. The Grimmsnarl plus Charizard is a little bit better. Also, with having Charizard in a front, you just kind of get more millage out of the G-Max Wildfire. And then, like, Torkoal in the back is actually surprisingly good as well. Like, it counteracts a lot of the metagame naturally, because how ridiculous a bulk it is, and like how it can yawn. Heat Wave actually hurts, and it's spread attack, so you would be surprised how good Torkoal is to clean up in late game, even without Eruption. Zacian in the back, again, just kind of waiting to just go for these Behemoth Blades. And maybe if they Dynamax in the back, you just don't kind of care because you got Zacian, unless they're like Charizard of their own. And if you are facing up against the mirrors, this is where you take away, you bring in your Landorus. Not on elite though, you want to lead with Charizard still. And if the moment they bring out their Landorus, you bring their Landorus, you intimidate it, you set up Swords Dance on it, and then you reverse sweep. So basically, it's kind of like resource game against the mirrors, basically. You just kind of like don't want Landorus in there, because Landorus can switch in there immediately and ruin your attack, and then you just kind of can't get attacks off. But you want to have Landorus in the front because you want to just carry the Charizard. But you don't want it because you just get the idea, right? So Landorus creates this kind of like 50-50 dilemma, like what do I want to do? And Landorus does that well and makes the matchup or the mirror more playable for you. If you don't have Landorus of your own, there is a chance you just lose. Because Landorus is just so important. Suddenly, they can lead Landorus and there is nothing you can do to punish it. There is no Landorus switch, there is no Intimidate. They will just rockfall your Charizard and you cannot do anything about it. So if you don't have Landorus of your own, you are kind of screwed. So I explained the mirrors, I explained the rain matchup, and I explained how you play this team. So yeah, hopefully it's clear enough. And now let's go over the counteraction section. I'm not going to do the replays today, because I think with just how this team operates just so simply, and you got to do an half-hour footage to just understand how was I playing the team. And you got it against real opponents, so it's just not me playing against me. This is like a attending experience that you can learn from, which I think is a lot more valuable. So I'm not going to be doing the matchup session today. It's just self-explanatory team. So how do you counteract this team? So there are probably two best counteractions. Like, this team is good, it's consistent, it set up screens, it's bulky offense, so you just can't kind of break through it, although you kind of can with these two Pokemon. They are very similar. The idea is you block their sleep with Lumberry, and you KO their Venusaur with Max Flare. You also irritate, I mean, only Charizard can really irritate the Torkoal with Scorching Sands or Ancient Power. You KO the Torkoal here, and they kind of sucks against the Torkoal. It really doesn't do that well, yeah, otherwise it gets much better counteraction off against the Charizard because it's not suspensible to kind of intimidate and opponent's Landorus so much. So you can just kind of go for max rockfall and KO their Charizard immediately. Charizard has other advantages, like, it's hard to explain this, it's kind of hot today as well. So basically both of them kind of counteract the Zacian pretty well with Max Flare, and both of them just kind of KO it, unless they set up dual screen. But Charizard set up G-Max Wildfire, which makes it kind of better overall out of the two, again, because Wildfire is just cool. And Max Flare set up Sun for them, which could get nasty, so yeah. Let's recap. Actually, Charizard can go for Ancient Power and risk the Speed Tie to KO their Charizard before it can KO our Charizard. So let's recap what can they do. They cannot bring Venusaur, or else they cannot sleep on us because they just get one-shotted back because we get Lumberry. They cannot really do much with Torkoal because we just cannot irritate them with Max Rockfall or Max Quake. They cannot really bring in their own Charizard unless they are risking Speed Ties and automatic loss to Max Rockfall. They cannot really bring in their Zacian out because they're just gonna get Max Flared out of Oblivion, and Behemoth Blade is resisted, so it cannot really KO our Dynamax Pokemon that well. So what do? They are forced to lead with Landorus, which might be entry point for your bad matchup. So basically, if we can force them to lead Landorus, your strategy can probably breathe a lot more. Like Mimikyu can now set up Trickery more reliably. What can I say? Like, for example, against Mimikyu, Mimikyu Calyrex, you just gonna lead Charizard, you force their Landorus to Dynamax and KO it. Now you set up Trickery, switch it to Calyrex Ice Rider, Shadow Sneak, and just Glacial Lens their Landorus out of existence. And there is nothing they can do about it. So you see, this is like one of the examples what Charizard can do. It just kind of creates mind plays, and it's very good to create mind plays because it allows you to get back into the game, even if you have bad matchup. Now, Incineroar is very similar. If you just want to run Thunder Punch to break the just so they can put you to sleep with Yawn, it's probably an okay idea. You can taunt their Torkoal as well, and Max Flare again KOs Venusaur, Burning Shot is annoying for their Charizard, Thunder Punch is actually annoying for their Charizard as well, excuse me. So yeah, that is also probably a good option. Sunrise is again very similar to all these 3 Pokemon. It's fast. If you got Tailwind with Whimsicott, you probably want to add Sunrise in, because the only problem Sunrise has against on this team is really the Torkoal, which kind of yawns it, and Sunrise cannot do much about it. So if you taunt their Torkoal with your Whimsicott, they cannot do anything. And suddenly their only counteraction becomes like useless, and suddenly Sunrise just kind of walks over this team. There is also a possibility of Landorus being annoying, but they cannot max Quake you because you can max Airstream. They cannot really max Rock for you because you can max Knuckle. You get the idea. And if they can really max Airstream because you can max Steel Spike. So Sunrise plays mind games against even their Landorus. Now I like physical Regieleki just because one thing. Their Charizard, but next to their Charizard, Grimmsnarl might just set up Light Screen, but you just Dynamax and go for Wild Charge, which is physical move, so you just one-shot the Charizard and you win the game. Not only because you KO the Charizard, but now because with Electric Drain, now you KO their Zacian in one hit and outspeed it in one hit as well with the Max Lightning. Now you can go special. And also another note I want to give, you outspeed their Venusaur most of the time, and you can Electro Web it into something like Sunrise speed range, and now Sunrise just knocks it out with Max Flare. So yeah, these are some food for thought on Regieleki. And of course Landorus, I've explained it, just Swords Dance against, wait for their Landorus to come in, and then set up a Swords Dance, switch your Landorus and Swords Dance on them. You can also use Rockfall to KO their Charizard. Max Airstream does good damage against Venusaur. Max Quake irritates the heck out of the Zacian and Torkoal. So yeah. This is gonna be my shorter Metagame Monday. This is like 26 minutes and I'm finished. So I'm gonna have a bad feeling on my heart that I just kind of like made this too quickly. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'm gonna answer any questions of if you got any. So yeah, I'll get you next week. I'm probably got actually I got an idea for VGC out of loop, so it's more VGC out of loop episodes. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you next week. And sorry for like kind of speaking confused today. It's just kind of hot, and I got a lot of things to still do today. So yeah, with that I'm saying goodbye and have a nice day.